One Igbo adage say, Onye wetara oji, wetara ndu. There's a thing about love in a Nigerian village. It does not come quietly. It does not knock gently on a door. It arrives like harmattan, sudden, dry, and all over everything. In the village of Newi Oba, where red earth roads swallowed your footprints before morning, there lived a woman named Adeze. She was the kind of woman people turned to look at twice, not just because of her face, though her face was something. It was the way she walked, like the ground owed her something, like she had already won a fight nobody else knew was happening. Ada, Ada, the young men would call whenever she passed the market. She never turned, not once, not even to look. Her mother, Mama Chioma, used to say, Mwami, the tree that refuses to bend will break in the storm. Adeze always laughed at that. She was 28 years old. She had survived hunger, heartbreak, and 2 men who left without looking back. She did not think she needed bending. But then Emeka happened. Emeka was not the loudest man in Newioba. He was not the richest either. He found yam on his father's land by the Oji River. He was 32, quiet, and had hands that looked like they understood hard work personally. The first time he saw Adeze, he did not call her name, he did not whistle. He simply watched her pass, and then he went home and could not sleep. His friend Chucks laughed at him the next morning. Bros, you don't fall for that proud woman, it don't do you. Emeka only smiled. She's not proud, he said quietly. She's just afraid. Nobody in the village had ever described Adeze that way, but Emeka somehow already knew something everyone else had missed. And that small knowing, that was the beginning of everything. But what nobody knew yet was how it would end.
Emeka did not buy her gifts at first. He did not write her letters or send her messages through friends. He simply started showing up, quietly, consistently, like the sun. Every Tuesday, Adaize walked to the Oji River to fetch water. And every Tuesday, without her asking, Emeka would appear on the road, carrying the second bucket. He never made it dramatic. He never asked for anything in return. Emeka, why do you do this? She asked him one day, genuinely confused. He shrugged. Because the bucket is heavy. That was all. Just because the bucket is heavy. Something shifted in Adaize's chest that Tuesday. Not a lot, just a small thing, like a door opening 1 inch. By the 3rd month, the whole village of Newioba had noticed. Old women on their verandas watched with sharp eyes. That Emeka boy is serious, so they whispered. But will Ade let him in? That girl's heart is lock and key. Adaize heard all of it. She heard it and told herself it meant nothing. But she started wearing better wrappers on Tuesdays. She started taking longer at the river. She started arriving just a little earlier to make sure she wouldn't miss him. Emeka noticed. He noticed everything about her. He noticed she laughed with her whole body, but quickly covered her mouth like laughter was something shameful. He noticed she helped old women carry things, but always pretended it was accidental. He noticed she was soft, deeply soft underneath all that iron. One evening, walking her home, he said very simply, Ade, nhuru gi n'anya. Adaize, I love you. She stopped walking. She stood very still, and then she said, Don't say things you don't mean, Emeka, and walked inside. But that night, she did not sleep at all. It took 4 more months. 4 months of Tuesdays. 4 months of Emeka showing up, never demanding, never performing. One evening, there was a rainstorm over Niweoba. Heavy, loud, violent rain, the kind that makes you believe in God whether you plan to or not. Adaize's roof was leaking. She had no one to call. Her mother was at her uncle's compound. And then a knock. Emeka stood at her door, soaked through, holding a piece of zinc roofing on his shoulder. I heard your roof has been bad, he said simply. She stared at him. You won't die for rain because of zinc. He smiled. Better zinc than you sleeping underwater. She let him in. He fixed the roof in the rain. He did not complain once. When he came down, she had made him pepper soup, the real kind, with ede cocoyam and uziza leaves. They sat across from each other in the small lantern light. They talked until the rain stopped. They talked until the frogs stopped singing. They talked until the first cock crowed at 4 a.m. Adaize told him about the two men who left. Emeka did not flinch. He did not offer empty words. He just said, Undo, I'm sorry that happened to you. 3 words. I'm sorry. Not I'm different. Not I won't do that. Not trust me. Just I'm sorry. Something inside Adaize cracked open like dry ground after rain. She reached across the small table. She held his hand. It was the first time she had touched him first. Emeka looked down at their hands. He looked up at her. He did not say a word. He didn't need to. But neither of them knew that this warmth would not last. For 1 full year, Adaize and Emeka were the talk of New Yoruba. Not in a bad way. In the way that makes old couples smile and remember themselves. You see those two? Na so love supposed be, the old men will say. Emeka farmed. Adaize sold fabric at the market. Together they were building something. Slowly, strongly, the way good things are built. He called her Adam, my Ada. She called him nothing romantic to his face. But behind closed doors, in the quiet of her room, she whispered, Nkem, my own. She never said it to him directly. Because Adaize was still Adaize. She still held things back, still kept a piece of herself locked away, old habit, old wound. Emeka understood. He did not push. He did not beg her to love him louder. He simply loved her at the volume he had and trusted it was enough. His friend Chucks would tease him sometimes. Emeka, that woman no block ever tell you she loves you. You know that, right? Emeka would just laugh softly. She shows me, he said. Every day she shows me. Chuck shook his head. He did not understand it. But then, around the middle of the dry season, Emeka started coughing. At first, everyone thought it was the dust. Harmattan always came with coughs in New Yoruba, but this cough was different. It stayed too long, it came too hard, it took weight off his body week by week, like something was eating him from inside. Adaize noticed. Emeka, go to the hospital. I'm fine, Adam. You are not fine. Go. I will go next week. Next week came. He did not go. 3 weeks passed. He grew thinner. And somewhere deep in her stomach, Adaize felt the first cold finger of fear. By the time Emeka finally went to the hospital in Onitsha, it was already late. Too late for early. The doctor, a small, tired man with reading glasses, looked at Emeka's chart for a long time. He looked up. He said words that fell like stones. Tuberculosis. Advanced. He had been sick quietly for months while telling everyone he was fine. Chuk sat outside the hospital and could not speak. Emeka sat on the hospital bed and stared at the ceiling fan. He was not angry. He was not crying. He was thinking of Adaize. When Chooks told her that evening, Adaize stood in her compound and did not move for a full minute. Then she said, he should have gone earlier. Mama Chioma, who was standing beside her, closed her eyes slowly, because she knew what that tone meant. When Adaize said something cold, it meant she was falling apart inside. Emeka was admitted. Every day, Chooks visited. Some village women visited. Even Emeka's old enemies came to sit beside him. Adaize came, but not every day. Some days she stood outside the hospital gate and could not make herself go in. The fear was too much. The sight of him, thin and struggling, it broke something in her she did not have the words to fix. So she stayed outside. She told herself, he knows I care. He knows. Emeka would ask Chooks, did Adaize come today? She's coming, Chooks would say, even when she wasn't. Even when she was standing at the gate, then turning around and going home. One night, Emeka held Chooks' hand and said, tell her not to be afraid. Tell her I'm not angry. Tell her to just come, just once, just come. Chooks drove to Adaize's house that night and told her everything, word for word. She sat on her wooden bench. She nodded slowly. She said, "I will go tomorrow." Tomorrow. She always said tomorrow, but tomorrow was about to run out. Tomorrow came. Adaze woke up. She tied her wrapper. She picked up her bag. She stood at her door. And then she sat back down. "I can't see him like that," she whispered to herself. "I can't watch him suffer." She spent that day at the market. She sold her fabric. She talked and laughed with other women, but her eyes were far away all day. That evening, Chucks came running to her compound. His face was different, the kind of face that carries news that changes things forever. "Ada, Emeka is asking for you. Only you. The nurses say he may not last the night. You have to come now." The compound went quiet. Mama Chioma came to the doorway. Even the goat tied to the mango tree stopped moving. Adaze stood up. She picked up her bag again. She walked 2 steps toward the gate. Then she stopped. Her pride, that old stubborn iron thing, rose up in her chest. "If he wanted me there," she said quietly, "he should have told me himself, not through Chucks, not through everyone." Mama Chioma gasped. "Adaze." "I am not going, Mama. He knows where I live." Chucks looked at her for a long, long time. He did not shout. He did not beg. He just turned and walked away. He went back to the hospital alone. He held Emeka's hand for the rest of that night. Around midnight, Emeka looked toward the door one last time. The door that he was hoping Adaze would walk through. She did not walk through it. He closed his eyes. His lips moved. Chucks leaned in close to hear. "Tell her I forgive her. Tell her I loved her. Tell her I just wanted to hold her hand, just once more." Those were his last words, and by 1 a.m., the room was silent. Emeka was gone. The news reached Adaze at dawn. A neighbor's child knocked on her door. "Mama says to tell you, Emeka don't go." Adaze did not cry. She sat on her bed. She looked at her hands. She turned them over slowly, these same hands that had never gone to hold his. And then the wind came. Not the regular morning breeze of Newi Oba. Something different. It moved through her open window and touched her face like a hand. Warm, deliberate, slow. Adaze froze. She looked around the empty room. Nobody was there. She told herself it was nothing. She went outside to wash her face at the well. The wind followed. It circled around her like it was reading her. Old Mama Eze, who was sweeping across the road, looked up and squinted. "Ada, you dey all right? Why wind dey follow you like that?" Adaze did not answer. She walked quickly back inside. At Emeka's burial 3 days later, the whole village gathered at the red earth ground behind his father's compound. The priest spoke. The women wept. Chuck stood to the side, arms folded, face made of stone. When they lowered the Emeka into the ground, a wind moved through the burial ground that stopped everyone mid-breath. No trees were shaking anywhere else, only right there, only at that spot. Mama Chioma gripped her daughter's arm. Adaze stood very still, and for the first time since she heard the news, one tear fell, just one, down her left cheek. The wind caught it. It caught it like a hand wiping a face. Every single person standing there saw it happen. Nobody said anything, but everybody understood. Something had not finished between Emeka and Adaze. By the second week after Emeka's death, Newi Oba was buzzing. Not with gossip exactly, with something older than gossip, something that felt like truth. Everywhere Adaze went, the wind went. To the market, to the river, to her mother's compound, even inside her room, on nights when not a single leaf was moving outside. She would feel it, that warm, slow movement of air, like breath, like someone sitting beside her, breathing quietly. "He don't do that, girl, oh," the old women whispered. "Emeka never leave. Tfiakwa." some people said, waving it away, but even they could not explain it. Chucks heard the stories and came to find Adaeze one evening. He sat across from her. He looked at her the same way he had looked at her the night Emeka was dying. Long, steady, without blinking. You know what he asked for, Chuck said. Adaeze said nothing. He didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for much. Just your hand, Ada. Just to hold your hand one time. Adaeze's jaw tightened. Don't come to my house and judge me, Chukwuemeka. Chuck stood up to leave. At the door, he turned. I'm not judging you. I'm telling you, that man loved you the way rain loves the ground. Quiet, consistent, and life-giving. And you let him go like he was nothing. He left. Adaeze sat alone. The wind moved through the room, touched her face. She pressed her hand against her own cheek, and for one wild second, it felt like his palm. She burst into tears. Ugly, heaving, long, delayed tears. Emeka, she gasped. Emeka Biko, Ndo, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But the room was empty, and sorry was arriving far too late. 6 weeks after the burial, Adaeze did something no one expected. In the middle of the night, around the same hour Emeka had died, she got up. She tied her wrapper. She took her lantern. She walked alone through the dark roads of Newioba, past the sleeping compounds, past the mango trees, past the Oji River, which ran quietly like it too was listening. She reached the burial ground. She found his grave, the mound of red earth still fresh, with a small wooden cross. She knelt down. The night was completely still. Not a sound, not a cricket, not a single leaf. Then she placed her hand on the earth above where his hands would be. She pressed her palm flat. Emeka, she said quietly, Mbia, I came. Late, but I came. She swallowed hard. You asked me to come hold your hand. I was afraid. I was stupid. I was too proud to admit that watching you suffer made me feel helpless, and I did not know what to do with helpless. Her voice cracked. But I should have come. I know that. I will carry that for the rest of my life. She sat with him for a long time. She talked to him the way she had never talked to him when he was alive. She told him everything. Every feeling she had locked away. Every soft thing she had hidden behind iron. Nhuru genanya Emeka, she finally said. I love you. The word she had never said to his face while he was living. And then a wind came. Not violent, not cold. Warm, gentle, slow. It moved around her like arms. It held her for a long, long moment. And then it let go. Adaeze sat at the grave until morning. She was not afraid. For the first time in months, she was at peace. But whether the wind was done with her, nobody could say. Adaeze never remarried. Not because no one came. Men came, good men. She simply knew. She had been given something rare once. She had not held it the way it deserved. She did not want to risk that kind of regret again. She grew older in Newioba. She became one of the wise women on the veranda that she had once ignored. Young people came to sit with her. She always told them the same thing. When someone who loves you asks for your hand, give it. Don't wait. Pride is a prison you build with your own hands and then wonder why you are cold. The wind? It never fully left. People in Newioba noticed it for years. Whenever Adaeze was in pain, the wind would come and sit with her. Whenever she laughed, you would feel it move through the compound like something was smiling. Old Mama Eze used to say, Emeka never really go. He just changed form. Now he is the air that holds her. Chucks, who lived long into old age, said it differently. He said Emeka forgave her the night she went to his grave. But love like that, it not just vanish. It stays. It becomes the thing that follows you everywhere because it never got to finish. On the day Adaeze finally died, an old woman full of years and stories, the people who were in the room said something strange happened. A warm wind moved through the closed window. It circled the room once And then silence. Complete, total, peaceful silence. As if something that had been waiting had finally, after all those years, arrived. Moral lesson. Don't let pride speak louder than love. The people who love you quietly are the ones who will echo the loudest when they are gone. Hold the hand while it is still warm. Say the words while there is still breath to hear them. Tomorrow is not promised, and sorry is the loneliest word when there is no one left to receive it. Onye were ochicho nu ya jiri ochicho. Onwe ihe ojiri cheta. He who holds his wishes in his mouth to the end has only memories to keep him. The wind still blows in Inewioba. Ask any old woman there. She will smile, look at the sky, and say, "That is just Emeka. He never left." The end.